Hello, this is John Nelson with Tulsa Community College Career Services. Today we're presenting another one of our videos in the series of Fast Attack videos for our student veterans, this one dealing with resumes. So as we get started, just a quick background on me. Again, I'm retired from the United States Navy as a Chief Petty Officer. I worked for 8 years for the Employment Security Commission here in Oklahoma, 2 years as a Veterans Employment Representative, and the final 6 as a manager. All of our services centered around taking care of our veterans. Most of our funding was really based on that. I've been on board TCC since September 6th of 2017. And here we go with information on resumes. First of all, what is a resume? Resume is simply how you introduce yourself to an employer. And with everything else, that first impression is going to be that lasting impression. And as the old adage says, you never get a second chance to make that first impression. The question is, what do you want the employer to know? It's a brief but very descriptive story about you. It shows that you're qualified, and it's really designed to make yourself an attractive candidate. Another way to look at it, it's kind of a cold and hard way to look at it, but it's really a sales brochure. If you were looking at 3 different products and you were trying to figure out which one worked best, that resume, that sales brochure may make the difference in you being the one that that company invests in. Now remember, resumes do not get you the job, they get you the interview. The interview is actually the most important part of the process. So you want to get that resume or get that job by putting in the proper resume, that great sales brochure that's going to get you that interest in that employer so that they will want to talk to you. You've got to customize your resume, obviously. You'll have a master resume, which is your entire work history to work from. The trick is different jobs are going to be different resumes. Each resume is going to be adjusted for each job. You've got to get the job requirements as close as you can to what the company's looking for to match your work experience. No 2 resumes, of course, are going to look the same, and it's all about rearranging your information. One thing that people do a lot of the time is look at it this way. If you were to go to Walmart or Target and you come out to your car and you see something stuffed underneath the windshield wiper, the first thing you're going to do with that, you might glance at it, but by and large, you're probably going to throw it away. That's what happens when you blanket the earth with your resumes. That resume has to be specific to that job and to that employer. If you send them something they're really not interested in, like putting that flyer under your windshield wiper, it's really not going to get a look. And remember the 8-second rule. Somewhere between 5 and 30 seconds, employers are going to take to look at your resume. An average of 8 seconds really determines the yes or no. Always remember, good spelling, proper grammar, and no abbreviations are very, very important. You want to stand out from the crowd, and many times typos, bad spelling, bad grammar are going to disqualify you because of your resume. Now going on, we're going to get into some challenges here. First of all, employers want and absolutely love having veterans. They're fantastic. The reputation that we have, the tools and gifts that we bring to the workplace are unmatched. But the funny part is, employers by and large really don't have an idea of what we do. And through studies and other information that I've looked at, interviewers tend to make up one of 3 schools of thought. The first are the people that think they know, oh, I saw it in a movie, or I read this on the internet, or saw this on a news program, a documentary. Then you've got a second group, people who are kind of afraid to ask because they don't want to offend, or they might get into the PTSD thing, or they might get their information from the news, which, to be honest, isn't always very friendly to veterans and veteran causes in the military. Or you might rarely have an actual veteran or family member who really, really understands where a veteran's coming from and all the gifts and tools and skills that they're going to bring to that workplace. Here's something to keep in mind too. Only 0.8% of the population is serving. Active duty at about 0.5%, the Guard at 0.14%, and the reserves at 0.25%. Again, that adds up to 0.8%. Not even 1% of the population is serving. So again, that's just it, trying to make the vast majority of the population understand who we are and what we do. Veterans, those who have served, make up about 10% of the US population. And here's the challenge. There's still that 90% that need to understand through the way we translate our skills and our work history into what we really offer that company. And that's what it is right there. Translating your skills into a language that's going to be understood by those that do the hiring. So here we go, translating your experience. Step 1, absolutely, you've got to translate into civilianese. Even if you plan your career outside of what you did in the military, your MOS, your NEC, your AFSC, you have many, many transferable skills that civilian employers want. I spoke to a student one time. His career path in the military happened to be combat medic, but here at TCC, he was going through business. still all kinds of skills and experience and things that you can bring to the business world from your military experience. Here are three great websites to look at: realwarriors.net, careerinfo.net.org, which is a Department of Labor site, and ONET Online, which is another Department of Labor website. Here's a great example of translating your experience: a security clearance. Lots of people in the military have those, secret to top secret, everything in between, some even higher than that. It takes years and $100,000 plus for a civilian employee to get that kind of security clearance and certification. A lot of veterans are already bringing that security clearance to the workplace, especially if it's a federal contractor that's dealing with very sensitive equipment that they're building for the military. More information on translating your experience. Don't use acronyms, abbreviations, or the jargon. I put some general ones on here just for an example. Temporary duty, Continental United States, end of active obligated service, your MOS, NEC, AFSC. Those things are going to be lost on the vast majority of hiring authorities. You've got to provide a complete picture of your experience, your technical skills, a definite advantage. If you're applying for an internship, or if you're applying for a work study job or something having to do with your college experience here, what you bring from the military puts you miles ahead in front of our contemporaries from 18 to 22. What you did from 18 to 22 compared to a traditional student is going to make you stand out on those job applications. Interpersonal skills. That's one thing that employers are looking for. It's called soft skills, but the ability to work with the group and to get that group dynamic taken care of and put the needs of the group and not be kind of a self-serving person, if you will. That's where that comes from. They're looking for that, and we bring that in abundance after being in the military. And of course, leadership. Regardless of what your job was in the military, you have leadership. From working parties all the way to the commander-in-chief and beyond, E1 to E3, working parties. How many times did you put a young junior E1 to E3 in charge of a working party to get something done? That's responsibilities. And again, how many did they supervise? Numbers are huge on a resume, and they always draw attention. So additional highlights: any previous work experience in addition to what you did in the military. Volunteer work is huge. It can be viewed just as highly as salaried work. Any and all applicable skills and experience that you picked up from volunteer work are a definite plus. Extracurricular activities. How involved are you in student life? Clubs, organizations, school activities. Anything that you can do above and beyond is going to look great to an employer, because it shows not only were you great in the classroom, you were also engaged socially while you were in school. Hobbies and interests, that can make a big difference as well. Cover letters, we'll just touch on this briefly. And if you want information and samples, my contact information will be here at the end of this presentation, but let's just touch on cover letters here for a minute. The cover letter can be almost as important as a resume, absolutely. It's an important tool if you send it by email or fax. What it does is it really personalizes what can be a very impersonal process. If you're sending your resume by email or fax, it's not really going to give you the opportunity to talk to somebody face to face. The cover letter is the icebreaker and is going to allow you to speak to that employer through that correspondence. And there are still a lot of people that really love to see written correspondence. It wasn't all that long ago in the past, people would write letters. I mean, I remember in boot camp writing letters home to parents, grandparents, friends, and how important it was that they got that letter, because they could actually hold that letter and realize that you invested the time to write them that letter. A lot of people still value that written correspondence. Now, make sure on a cover letter that you address it to the person doing the hiring. Your hiring committee is an absolute last resort, but here are some examples here. To whom it may concern, sadly, they're not concerned about you. It shows a lack of research, in our parlance, and no attention to detail. Ladies and gentlemen, sirs and madams is also another way to go, but if you can figure out that person, dear Mr. Jones, Mrs. Smith, Ms. Johnson, Dr. Smith, director of this, Colonel so-and-so, Colonel Sergeant, that type of thing. That's where it really gets personal, and it shows that you did the research and went above and beyond. And again, if it says no cover letters, don't send one, because that's really a test of attention to detail, a failure to follow instructions. Cover letters are always one page, a standard business letter format. Do your homework, learn what you can about the company, let that reflect in your cover letter as you submit it. The cover letter is not a repeat of your resume. It's your personal reasons for, here's why I want to work here. I've been interested in ABC Company because of the great work that they do. I'm interested in DEF Company because they're a federal contractor and I used their materials while I was in the military. It could be any kind of personal reason, but again, this is a personal letter why I want to work for you. If you do it on paper, make sure it's on that same bond quality paper, the real good thick stuff. The The cover letter, make them want to speak to you. Here's what I would bring to your company. It's going to be formal, polite, and honest, but yet confident. So not too much over the top, but not really condescending or kind of self-deprecating. Make yourself look good, be very confident. Here's why I want to work. Here's what I'm going to bring for the company. Again, just like any other document, no typos. Slipping up on grammar and punctuation could make the difference in you being considered or not. So here's what we do about your military service on your resume. First of all, the biggest do, honorable discharge and your branch of service. That's really what they're looking for. Honorable discharge shows that you went through the military drug-free, and that's huge for a civilian employer. So we're looking for honorable discharge, United States Army, United States Navy, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, Air Force, Reserves, that type of thing. So those are all going to fall under one of those 5 branches of service. Don't put medals and ribbons. They don't understand. Campaign badges and devices, same thing. Sailor of the Quarter, Airman of the Year, Marine of the Quarter, all of those types of things. Don't put that on there because that's going to be lost. You could call it employer or employee of the quarter, but that's about as far as I would go with that. Your rank, no. Career history with deployments, don't do that. Do not put your disability percentage. That may cost you the job, truthfully. They're not supposed to discriminate, but if they see that, that could instill a little bit of a kernel of doubt. So, and that's really nobody's business to know either. Again, HR and hiring authorities are really looking for the character of discharge, honorable, general, etc. You can find that on your DD-214 member 4 in block 24, looking for honorable discharge, comma, branch. So just to recap, resumes do not get you the job, they get you the interview. So they get you the interview, which is the most important part of the process. Tell your story within the job requirements. Here's why I want you to invest in me. Here's why I would be an asset to the company. Make that proper and lasting first impression by highlighting your skills. You are highlighting and selling yourself truthfully. Make sure it's in civilianese. That's rule number 1. Here's an important one. Do not lie on a resume. You will be fired. I remember seeing a coach for Notre Dame, I believe it was, who was fired because he lied on his resume. And this happens more frequently and more times than we probably care to count. But don't lie on a resume. Make sure you're truthful and straightforward with it. Cover letters are a must unless it says no cover letters. No symbols, no colored paper, no borders, no crazy fonts. It really needs to look more like a business document than anything. Again, honorable discharge, branch of service is really about as far as you need to go into the weeds as far as talking about your military experience. If it translates over, then again, put it into civilianese. Thank you for coming by today and having a look at this video. The best way to get a hold of me right by the blue arrow is email. Please feel free to send me an email. I can send you samples of resumes. I can send you samples of cover letters. But if there's anything we can do at Career Services to help you during this crazy time, please feel free to give us a shout. Look forward to hearing from you. And I'll probably have a couple of more videos in the series. Thank you.